Salon at katatayo amin. We are now in the Christmas season. And if you ask me, Christmas is definitely a time for happiness, a lot of fun, a lot of connections with friends, with our family. But did you know that Christmas is also a dangerous time? Now, why do I say dangerous time? Because it's a time when there's too much food. Ang daming pagkain. And so, if we do not really understand how food affects our longevity and our health and our happiness, well, we might not in a way survive it, and we'll go into the new year having too much resolutions on what to do, what not to eat. And so let me just share with you some tips, some principles, some hacks that we can use every day so that we will live a lot longer, more resilient, and a lot happier. Now, let me start with sharing you some comfort foods, because most of this that we take during Christmas time are comfort foods, a lot of them. Now, this is based on a 2015 Harris poll, of course, in the United States. But you know what? Just looking over the list, it just tells me that even here in the Philippines, we will have those comfort food. Now, comfort foods are those kinds of food that temporarily, during the time you're eating them, they bring you a lot of comfort. Naku, sarap nito. And so you feel satiated, you feel, everything's right with the world. But later on, that's going to come back and make problems for you. Now, according to that Harris poll, the number one comfort food in the United States is, it ends in the letter A. It's 5 letters. Can you guess it? The second to the last letter is Z. Now you got it. It's pizza. Right? So you can see what this, everywhere you go, there's a lots of pizza bars, pizza restaurants. The second one, you would agree also, is chocolate. Now this is the kind of chocolate I'm talking about. There's a lot of sugar in it. There's probably too much milk in it. And so it tastes very sweet, and so you get addicted to it. So chocolate is number two. Of course, dark chocolate is a little bit different because there's be a lot of cacao there, a lot of cocoa, 85, 90, 95% cocoa. Dark chocolate is good for you, but the ordinary one, oops, a lot of caution right there. Number three is ice cream. Now, who wants ice cream? Don't raise your hand. Well, everybody actually loves ice cream, especially the little ones. But once they get hooked into it, it becomes a comfort food to them. When they feel a little angry or depressed, they get ice cream, thinking that it will comfort them. That's temporarily, but over the long run, it gives you a lot of problems. Number four is macaroni and cheese. Who likes macaroni and cheese? A lot of people do, let me tell you, right? Number five is chips. This is available everywhere. Ang daming chips yan. A lot of our children, young ones, they consume a lot of chips. But those are comfort foods, not for longevity. Number six are hamburgers. The big hamburger stands, the big hamburger chains all over the world. And now you see that they bring comfort, but temporarily. Burgers. Number seven is steak. Who likes steak? Many of us do. But you know what? They can cause a lot of problem after a while. Number eight is when you go to a movie, you buy it. Oh, you got it already. Alam nyo na yan eh. Popcorn. Right? Okay, so who likes popcorn? Well, automatic when you go to a theater, there's popcorn there. So you buy popcorn, pop it while viewing the, because it's just comfort food. Number nine is, you guess it, there's a lot during this Christmas season, cakes and pasta. So this is one that I'm sure it will include cookies. So these are the high glycemic index food. They can raise your insulin levels and your blood sugar levels immediately and cause you diabetes after some time, type 2 diabetes. So a little caution there so you can survive this Christmas season. Number 10, according to the survey, Mexican food. I've never been to Mexico, but you have to tell me what Mexican food is all about. That's number 10. They give very temporary lift, but in the long run, it can cause anxiety, depression, stress, and all of those mood problems. And if it becomes chronic, then you're going to have a lot of problems. So if I were you, my friends, lessen those comfort foods and make sure we eat more of the real foods. Now, they have they classify it as standard American diet. A lot of our American friends, they eat all of those. And if you look at it, it's SAD, SAD, standard American diet. Now, I would suggest we choose more of the happy foods. Foods that can boost our happy hormones, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, and even GABA, which can balance all of those hormones that we have. Now, let me share with you some of this I would call, and I'm sure you would agree, our happy foods. Not comfort foods, happy foods who can have long-term happy feelings and long-term more resilient health. Now, number one should be organic plant-based food. These are the colorful fruits, and these are the very green leafy vegetables, legumes, the beans, the kale, the blueberries, and all of those foods that can give you a long-term health. Now, a good example for fruits is actually blueberries. Did you know that blueberries have one of the highest antioxidant contents? It has anti-angiogenic properties according to Dr. William Lee. And it has other properties which in a way can lift your mood. So when you eat blueberries, you have a lot, it's very nutrient dense. And so it can feed our gut microbiome, our second brain. It can even feed our brain, our first brain, and it sends out those happy hormones which we would like to have, especially during this Christmas season. So consume more organic plant-based food, fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, seeds. And if you do so, if you're talking about nuts, one of the best actually is walnut. Did you know that walnuts have one of the highest polyunsaturated fatty acids that we have, meaning there's a lot of omega-3s. And our brain, our first brain, not even to mention our second brain here, likes omega-3s. So you can build resilience into your brain, and the brain sends messages to our hormonal centers, releasing all of those happy hormones. So over the long term, consuming walnuts, there's also kale, there's blueberries, and polyunsaturated fatty acids coming from fish, salmon, even sardines. And so you get a long-term boost from consuming those. Another one, of course, like I mentioned a while ago already, nuts and seeds like chia seeds. Some of our nuts can include almonds, cashew nuts, kasoy, which there's plenty here in our country, in the Philippines, is one of my very favorites. And it does not only bring you a lot of upliftment in your mood, but it can make you help help your longevity. One of our religious groups, which are based in Loma Linda, California, actually, based on research done by Dan Beutner in his Blue Zones, he has found out that eating nuts for them is part of their culture, and it has helped them, in a way, live longer, healthier, more resilient lives. Okay, healthy cooking, especially with oils. Now, there's a caution with oils actually. Many of the oils that we consume are actually hydrogenated oils. So it's already processed and they put a lot of added hydrogen there. And so it becomes a lot unnatural in many ways. And so consuming them or using them for the longest time, especially during this Christmas season, is something we need to be putting in our minds. This includes canola oil, it includes sunflower oil, and all of those hydrogenated oil. Now, best for us, especially if we're talking about salads and low temperature cooking, is olive oil. And here in the Philippines, if I may suggest to our friends worldwide, coconut oil. Although it's saturated fat and coconut oil, but it has a lot of properties which makes it good, especially if you consume a little, not too much of it, but it's also very good for cooking actually because it can withstand high heat yun in coconut oil, unlike of course olive oil. So buti yun pang dressing natin yun. Okay, a comment on chocolate. Now dark chocolate is a mood enhancer. And so when you feel a little bit stressed, instead of reaching for that pizza, reaching for that ice cream, dark chocolate would be a good bet for you and for me. Why? It sends out the happy hormones. Your brain tells and sends out a signal releasing GABA, which is a mood balancer. That's basically. So dark chocolate, good for us. And naturally, we have to choose foods that are low in the glycemic index. Glycemic index tells us the kinds of food that do not release insulin very fast. And so there's no insulin spike here. Yung mga low glycemic foods, right? And you know what? Good news, low glycemic foods, vegetables, right? They digest slowly, they release insulin very slowly, so there's no spike. And one of the tips that I'd like to share with you is when you eat a meal and there's rice there, a lot of rice. Here in the Philippines we consume a lot of rice, or you consume pasta or carbohydrates, or there's something sweet on the table. The first thing that you need to do is to consume vegetable first. Eat vegetable. Get cucumber, get tomato, or all of those vegetables so that it will not spike. Dahan-dahan lang yun. Very moderate, very slow release of insulin. So there's no spike. You wait for a few minutes, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes before consuming that initial rice and the initial cakes, all those initial things that you put on your plate. Of course, I would suggest a smaller plate, not the big plates, especially during this Christmas season. Avoid too much highly processed food, foods that have been sprayed with chemicals, high glycemic, artificial foods, artificial colorings. We need to avoid them, especially this Christmas season. So those are just my tips, my friends worldwide, so that we can live a healthier, a happier, and a longer, more resilient life. And to you, my friends, salon at katatayo amin, have a happy Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. From Danny Quinto, your wellness and happiness coach, salon at katatayo amin.